In this edition of Detroit Performs, an artist creates beautiful portraits on a unique canvas.
It's another being, so the art that you're replicating becomes that much more important because it's encompassing another human being.
Critic Car Detroit shares with us more of their art critiques.
We're a bike shop. We do bike retail, service, rentals, and tours. We do Murals of Southwest Detroit tour that looks at some of the local artists and their work in their community.
Detroit youth train with professionals in an intensive Broadway workshop.
And our goal is to create opportunities for kids with an elevated interest in the performing arts, to give them opportunities to work on musical material, to work with the highest level of people in the industry. And over the last 6 years, we started taking our programs on tour.
We check out the winner of the Night Arts Challenge People's Choice Award.
Lo and Behold Records and Books is a publishing house and storefront as well.
And a man's creativity turns trash into treasure.
It's always been about trying to find the essence of humanity through found objects, through inanimate objects that are cast-offs, to try and give these inanimate objects a new lease on life.
It's all ahead on today's episode of Detroit Performs.
Major funding for Detroit Performs is provided by the McGregor Fund. Additional funding is provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to Detroit Performs, everybody. I am your host, DJ Oliver, and I'm coming to you from Detroit's Eastern Market, where each Saturday, as many as 40,000 people flock to enjoy one of the most authentic urban adventures in the United States. Now, let's get things started. Tom Renshaw is in demand throughout the world for his ability to render black and gray portraiture, but it's Tom's choice of canvas that surprises.
I've been drawing pretty much since birth. My earliest memories of childhood would be with a pencil and paper in my hand. My mother has a photo of several pieces of artwork that I did for a state fair when I was a young boy, and all of them were replications of people. So the one nice thing about art with a pencil or paint, when you're replicating human beings, there's a completely different, you move into a different realm of art because you almost have you become that person. The person you're replicating becomes extremely important in what you're doing. It's another being, so the art that you're replicating becomes that much more important because it's encompassing another human being, particularly if it's a family member. I received some material the other day, and man, is it fantastic. A lot of the stuff I receive is not of the quality of this photo, and there's a few fantastic things about it. One, the quality of the black and gray print is fantastic. It's set in the Korean War. This is the father of a young man named Steve. His father is Native American and served in both World War II and Korea. And this is going to be a great project, great photo. In speaking with Steve, I also came to learn that Steve also served our country as a Navy SEAL. So I'm really looking forward to meeting him. Well, there's no question that tattooing can be a little bit uncomfortable. I will say, however, that one thing I'm known for is having a very gentle hand, which by necessity, if you're a photorealist, has to be so. The art of approaching photorealism on skin takes a very soft, subtle approach because there's no going back. You can't put something in too heavy and then wish you hadn't have.
Just, my parents, I look back at them and I'm thankful for the life I've had and the opportunities I've been granted because of their sacrifices. And for me, the tattoos aren't merely just decorating my body. I want to express my outward appreciation of things, and I do like the way the art looks. That's why I would come here for Tom, because I just don't want something slapped on my arm. I want something that's beautiful in nature too. I just notice, like, when I go to tattoo shops, I just look at people's tattoos and appreciate their art, or wonder why they got that. And I've always been artistic in nature, not enough to create art of my own, but to appreciate it, even on my own skin.
When I have clients come to me who've lost a child or lost a sibling and they're feeling pain, the ultimate goal is, at the end of our session, for them to have a piece of artwork that not only looks like their loved one, but represents their loved one on their person from that point on. And it really provides quite a bit of relief. It gives them something to hold on to. From that point there on, there's always a part of that loved one that is a part of them permanently.
My grandfather came off the reservation, and at that time, when my grandfather came off, they didn't really take a census of Native Americans. So if as a way to explain to my dad through a genealogical, and the Mormons keep a big tab of that, is that he didn't live near a white family. They would say 3 white males, they would take the census of that.
Two people creating art at the same time, and we're sharing of emotions, and it's really a very intimate process. And I've found that the process benefits both the client, the recipient of the tattoo, and myself. It's really, it's very symbiotic. Black and gray tattooing, particularly photorealism, is more of a layering process. You will go over and over and over the stenciled area as many times as necessary to create the different fine shades that create the 3 dimensions that photorealistic black and gray tattooing represent. In almost every art form, there's always the opportunity to go back and reassess and correct. And within tattooing, that is not an option.
To find out about Renshaw, as well as all the other artists featured in today's show, head to DetroitPerforms.org. Now let's check out some critiques on arts events happening in and around the area, thanks to Critic Car Detroit.
Hi, I'm Kelly Kavanaugh. I'm with Wheelhouse Detroit. I'm a co-owner, and we're a bike shop. We do bike retail, service, rentals, and tours. And our tours some are geographically based, so we visit places like Indian Village and Corktown, and some are thematically based, and many of those are focused on some of the great arts and culture that we have here in the city of Detroit. Like, for instance, our Music Heritage Tour, we go to the Historical Museum and we talk a lot about historic music venues, some that still exist, some that don't. We do Murals of Southwest Detroit tour that looks at some of the local artists and their work in their community. We do an architecture tour, which kind of speaks for itself. Detroit has a really great range of classical and modern architecture that we try and highlight on that tour. And the tour we just got back from today was Hamtramck, and one of the stops on that tour is Hamtramck Disneyland, which is in the backyard of a Ukrainian immigrant who worked in the auto factories. He's been working on it for, I want to say it's been over 20 years now. He's retired now, and he tinkers in the backyard, and it's very three-dimensional. It lights up at night, it moves with the wind, and it's one of those things we had when we turn down an alley. I'm sure people are always wondering why I'm taking them down an alley on their bike, and then they see it, and we have these like loud verbal reactions, like whoa, from adults. It's very childlike and whimsical, so I feel like it kind of takes you back. And, there's just the thought of someone spending all that time, making something for no other reason than he enjoys it. And maybe hopefully visitors like us will get the chance to see it and enjoy it as well.
You can view more Critic Car Detroit citizen reviews on their Facebook page and YouTube channel, which you can find through DetroitPerforms.org. Now let's take a look at some upcoming arts events happening in and around Detroit. Musical theater is huge nowadays, and a lot of kids are drawn to it. But not many people get a chance to study and train with Broadway professionals. Thanks to a little help from Mosaic Youth Theatre, a group of young Detroit singers and dancers are learning the ropes in an intensive week-long Broadway workshop.
I'm Mark Tuminelli. I'm the owner and director of Broadway Workshop. I started Broadway Workshop about 6 years ago, and our goal was to create opportunities for kids with an elevated interest in the performing arts, to give them opportunities to work on musical material, to work with the highest level of people in the industry, and over the last 6 years we started taking our programs on tour. So this summer we are in Kentucky, we're in Vermont, and then we're also here in Detroit, and the Mosaic Youth Theatre has brought us in to present our camp here. So we have 50 students. They're broken up into 2 age groups. We have 9 to 13-year-olds and then 14 to 18-year-olds. And these students are unlike every other group that I've ever worked with, to be honest. Their training level is at such a high level. They are so well educated in their vocal performance, their movement, their presence on stage. They're really at a level that we can continue to add things and build on the program, because we're only here for 5 days. So what you can normally accomplish in 5 days is, a limited amount. But with these kids, we have gone above and beyond. They want to be here so badly, and they're working so hard for, 7 hours a day.
Hello! I'm not going to talk until everyone's quiet. You guys have to stay focused when we're doing these put-togethers. This goes for every rehearsal you will ever be in for the rest of your life that is a tech rehearsal. It's not about you. It's about making sure everything happens safely, okay? So sometimes we're working on lights, sometimes we're working on transitions. So you just have to be mindful of where you are and that everything around you is safe, okay?
We want to give them a professional experience, and all my years as a professional actor and my team, their years on Broadway and what they know coming in, you can't give half of a job. You have to go 100% all the time, because there's someone else who will do that. And so if these kids want to do this, and many of them do, and a lot of our kids in the older groups here, they're ready. They're like 17 and 18, they're going to college, or next year they're going to start auditioning for college programs. We need to give them the skills to basically open up the door for them to understand that this is how you have to work 100% of the time.
Calling me out to the smiles in the streets that I love. Good morning, Baltimore. Every day's like an open door. Every night's like a fantasy. Every sound's like a symphony. Good morning, Baltimore.
The people here, they're not mean to us. They'll be stern like, oh no, do that again. Or you guys need to practice that. Take this home. Go over this. It's because we all want the same goal of having a great show.
Hey guys, I'm just not hearing you enough or seeing enough energy in your body. It's very collapsed down. It's very strange. I need you to use your raise your voice energy.
I've learned how to make my voice louder. I've learned the songs and new dance moves. When they're giving me strong directions, I listen so I can make sure that I'm doing the best for the group.
Your heart starts beating like a big brass bat. The daffodils who answers train. And Angelo's and Maxie's when a Broadway baby says goodnight. It's early in the morning.
My advice for parents is you have to take it from where your kid is. A lot of parents want to push their kids to do something when they're not quite ready. And some parents sort of let their kids take the lead, and that's how it really should go. So you have a kid that is 24/7 listening to musicals, working really hard, like doing a lot of research on their own. You have to open doors for them and get them into the right schools, make sure that they have good teachers, find opportunities for them. And then the kids that are maybe not quite there, you know, a class here and there is fine. You know, you don't have to push it too hard. So when you see your kid doing the work on their own, then just try to do everything you can to make it happen, and then stay out of the way.
That was like 100 songs in 5 days. All right? Yeah, give it up one more time. So good. The kids in Detroit are more talented than anywhere else in the universe, and I mean it.
Raise a ruckus, raise the devil, raise it up another level. Raise your voice, lift it up to heaven. Raise your voice, spread across the sky.
The biggest thing that I will take from here is I know I can do it.
Raise your voice, raise your voice, raise your voice. Raise it, raise it, raise it up. Raise your voice.
To find out more about the Mosaic Youth Theatre and the Broadway Workshop, head to DetroitPerforms.org. And now, we first like to congratulate all 56 of the Night Arts Challenge winners, but the People's Choice Award goes to Hamtramck's Lo and Behold Records and Books.
Lo and Behold Records and Books is a publishing house and storefront as well. We put out records and books. I woke up this morning. Folk Blues Night, it's a musical series. It's a monthly musical series. Performers will come to sit in, but there's also performers that are invited. We record them with some old ribbon microphones. We've been putting them up for free download with the intention of saving money that way, and then putting out a series of LPs. The money would go toward, well, I need some renovation work in the space and upkeep on some of the gear too, the recording gear and stuff like that. I'd put a little into that. I'd allocate money for the performers, and then the rest would go toward just hammering out recordings. I'm really committed to this neighborhood and Hamtramck in general. It's there's a lot of potential, I think, for this neighborhood. If I leave tomorrow,
To learn more about the Night Arts Challenge winners, head to DetroitPerforms.org. Next up, we meet Alan Christian, an artist who prides himself on turning trash into treasure. Christian takes us inside his studio, which he calls the House of Balls, to explain the inspiration behind his creations.
It's always been about trying to find the essence of humanity through found objects, through inanimate objects that are cast-offs, to try and give these inanimate objects a new lease on life, to imbue them with emotion. And you know, it's obviously a difficult thing when you're dealing with an old fire hydrant, but I think it still can be done, and I'm certainly up to the challenge. Well, people walk through the door and they say, what is the House of Balls? And I say the House of Balls, more than anything, is my studio. Yes, it can be seen as a gallery, as a museum, as a repository. To me, when I walk in here, it's where I create. So it is my studio. It just happens to be accessible and open to you to enter into. My work has evolved from not exclusively bowling balls, but it was a large majority of what I did, to frying pans, to piano parts, to whatever's out there. My ideas come from, and this is a stock answer which I give everyone, I wake up, and that's enough for me. I don't try and determine beforehand in some ways what it can do or what it can't. Part of it is the experimentation of seeing whether it will or won't. And that's kind of the attitude I take about making art. You're experimenting, you're playing, and you're trying to have fun. And hopefully there's a message or something instilled in that work that is passed on. But the objective is to play. I have a lot to show you today, so get ready. This is a piece I did called Three Faces of Steve, and these are all made out of piano parts. I'm known for bowling balls. This is one of my favorite, personally. This is Drink My Blood, Jesus. I would like to actually have a sangria party where I've got a pump underneath here that would be pumping sangria or Bloody Marys. I used to play a lot of badminton, and I love bone, to carve bone. It's got light qualities that I find really intriguing. These are the mask type of figures in 1 second become somebody else. The frying pans are masks. They're something that I create to hold in front of oneself, either to unmask yourself or to become another person. But you also have that essence of the person that cooked with them. Those elements I try and retain because they epitomize what this person was like, and I think they also give emotion to the piece and enhance it. This is one that has that residue of someone's life. Now you leave that in there because to me this is the patina of their life, but then you can put it on and it accentuates who I've become. Well, these are a long ongoing series of puppets that I made for a troupe out of New York. Right now I'm into the silverware phase, doing heads, doing puppets, doing masks. Over the last 10 years, working on a large-scale figure right now. This is going to be a life-size, bigger than life-size actually. I don't think it'll be a puppet, but it's going to be all silverware. One of my favorite personal pieces was the piece I did for the Science Museum called Transformation, based after Rodin's The Thinker. It's about ideas and the moments that we understand. This is the piece I brought to Burning Man this year, called Little Big Bird. Since 2001, I've gone to Burning Man 7 times. And Burning Man is an arts festival in Nevada. It's about what is the gift you bring to the larger community. There's the most amazing sculpture. It's got the scale that blows people away. And of course I drive Elmer, my art car, who is an expression of myself. Well, you never know what I'm gonna make, but I got a platter, and that's good enough for me. As my mother always told me, safety first. You don't know how things are going to connect. And so it's really having a vast assortment of things you can choose from. And I may have a stance I'm looking for or an emotion I'm trying to capture, but how I get there is how the process unfolds before me. I would hope that my work, especially leaving here, because then it enters somebody else's life and they become a caretaker. And I would hope that there's an essence, an element left for them that enriches their life. That's all I want to do, is to try and enrich somebody else's life.
It's that easy, kids. It's that easy. Have fun.
To find out more about Alan Christian and all the other artists featured in today's show, head to DetroitPerforms.org. And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'd like to thank the Eastern Market for having us hang here today. In fact, there's so much going on. We're going to stay here for next week's show, too. Until next time, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I am DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Major funding for Detroit Performs is provided by the McGregor Fund. Additional funding is provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.